Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to preview round 14 of the 2024 NRL SuperCoach season. So before we get stuck into my team and what I'm doing specifically, we'll have a look across the league and see the most popular trade-ins, trade-outs and captaincy options for this week. And starting with the trade-ins, the number one trade-in this week is Dave Fafita. So, number one, second rower in the game, SuperCoach game that is. Nice matchup against South this week. Great upcoming bye schedule. So even though the break even is quite high, the price is quite high, I think you have to get him in. So I absolutely endorse this as a top trade. Brendan Hands at number two. So obviously the value with him now playing 80 minutes as opposed to coming off the bench at the start of the year. I guess it probably has been, his stocks have taken a bit more of a rise given a bit of chat that maybe Coruscant is going to find his way in to the New South Wales squad for the next State of Origin. I think it is worth bringing in Hands even if you don't view him as a season-long keeper. The Eels don't play round 16, but they do play round 19, so it could be a good option to have to cover that third bye round, which is going to be pretty tricky, I think. Brendan Hands, probably a good shout for a hooker this week. Jerome Hughes at number three, so I guess people looking for a halfback. The break-even's a bit scary. I did have him as the top pick in my tops, chops, traps, and slaps. But, there is certainly an argument for bringing in, like, a Tyrone Wishart, his halves partner there at the Storm. Obviously, same buy coverage, just a bit cheaper. Dual position as well could be handy. The likes of a Dylan Brown or Matt Burton are in that conversation also. So there is other options, but I can see why people would want to get on Jerome Hughes. Latrell Mitchell, so, I guess in line with Fafita, obviously has the attacking upside. The Gold Coast Titans haven't had the most watertight defence this season either. So it all just depends how the new combination of Walker and Whiten in the halves, how that plays out. And then off the back of that, obviously, if Latrell's up and about for the game, then we know he's capable of anything. So, if you're looking to upgrade at fullback, I think Latrell is a good shout this week. Eli Katoa, so another second row option that I'd love to have in my team. Might not be able to pull it off this week, but definitely in future weeks we'll be, looking for that. So if you want to bring him in this week, you've got Fafita already. You're pretty well set elsewhere. Eli Katoa is a great shout. Mitchell Moses, so I guess just be mindful. There is a bit of talk about him coming into the New South Wales squad for Game 2. Probably doesn't directly impact in the sense that Eels have the bye in round 16. But, does he get rested for round 17 post-Origin? And a similar story, if he misses round 19, they'll also miss round 20 with the Eels being on bye then. So, it's a bit of a calculated risk. At a similar price, you can get Jerome Hughes, who is definitely playing around 16, 17. So, again, that's just personal. It comes down to personal preference, but could be a trap. Scott Drinkwater, obviously, turned up last week. Great option at fullback. The only downside is the Cowboys still have 3 buys to go, whereas some teams have already had 2 and are, fast looking towards their third. So, for that reason, I think I'd rather bring in Latrell. Just offers a little bit more coverage for those buy rounds. But obviously similar price, similar upside. So, I think just the buy coverage pips puts Latrell ahead. Kalama Matangi, so I've got him as a trap. -1 break even is tempting with the South's good buy coverage, but he's averaging 50 in games where he hasn't, scored line breaks and tackle busts and all that sort of stuff. So, just be mindful that you're probably getting a 50 average player who might occasionally jag a try or the like. Samuel Alfano, so, great buy coverage, great job security with Pupley and Bateman both out long term. Um, so if you're looking for a discounted option this week, I think he is a great shout, either in the front row or in the second row. Dylan Brown at number 10. So, talked about the Eels enough already between Moses and Hands. You know, I think you can bring him in if you want. He's not going to make a lot of money, so that might be a consideration as well. But if you wanted to, I've got Dylan Brown, obviously, as you can see, and can highly recommend him as an owner. So on the trade outs, Nico Hines number 1. In terms of finance, it makes sense if you've got the trades. I think you can trade him out, trade him back in. Joey Lussick, obviously, trade out. People like myself just holding on to this week before trading out. Morgan Smithies, so I can see why people would trade out. He could be a valuable number for round 16 and 17 is the only argument against. But obviously with the Raiders, Roosters and Dolphins on bye, people might just have to trade someone out. So it could be Morgan Smithies. Angus Crichton, did enough in Origin, I think, to justify trading him out because he won't play this week. He won't play round 16. Break even at 125, he might get benched a bit. But in saying that, if you can hold him, he is averaging 77 for the season. So, I can imagine the top 3 being him, Fafita, and Eli Katoa. They're probably the 3 that I'm targeting for the run home. So if you can hold Crichton, I'd do that. But I can definitely understand people wanting to use his money to upgrade elsewhere. Sam Hughes, so, it's a bit awkward if you can get out of the pick. I would. I can't quite do it the way I wanted to this week, so I will hold. But they're on the bye next week, so it could be the perfect time to start thinking about round 16 then. Reece Walsh, out injured this week for sure with concussion. Could be next week as well. I think it's an 11-day rule, but he can apply for an exemption because he passed his initial concussion test or something. So, worst case scenario is he doesn't play for SuperCoach purposes until round 17. He probably will play Origin 2. Might play around 15. But, I think you can chop Reece Walsh. Dylan Edwards got injured here. He's in the extended reserve, so he has a chance of getting up this week. You'd imagine they would rest him if he wasn't fit to go for Origin. But, crazier things have happened. So I think it's one, if you can hold on till the Sunday Arvo when they play, I would. I don't know who's available to trade after that point. It doesn't say here. I'll have to go to the team with the fixtures to actually see. But I guess if you've got to make a decision, it might be worth getting out of him this week. Joe Chan, not in the squad, so get him out. Trey Fuller, I mean, if you're upgrading to a Latrell or something like that, okay. But, you can also hold him and he'll do a job through round 16, round 19. Sean Lane, on the bench. You can chop him. He wasn't doing much when he was starting, to be fair. James Tedesco is probably one I would hold just given the break even. But again, a lot of popular Roosters, Raiders, Dolphins. So if you need to trade Teddy, understandable. And that's about 10, but Ethan Strange, I think you can trade as well. So captaincy options this week. Scott Drinkwater is the top option against the Warriors. So, I mean, it's in North Queensland, which is probably the big advantage. May also be the last game too. So, that makes it the easiest for VCing. So, I mean, if you've got him, he's averaging 79. You'd take that as a captain every day of the week. Nico Hines, obviously, people who have not got around to taking the C off him yet, or given he's been out for a while, maybe just ghost players. I did set this to all coaches. I should probably do top 10% for captaincy. They're usually a bit more switched on. It's going to take forever to reload. Every time. I'll go the full refresh, see what happens. I'll go back to start. So top 10% captaincy. So there we go. This makes more sense. Dave Fafita at number 2. Obviously, good matchup against South, whose defence hasn't been great. And Fafita with his upside, averaging 86. Pretty good option in my opinion. Ruben Garrick against Penrith is a bit of a brave call. Admittedly, Penrith are a bit undermanned, may rest their players post-Origin, but at the end of the day, it's still Penrith. Next man up just seems to do the job. So, good luck to the 8.5% in the top 10 that have gone, Garrick, but I don't like your chances. Joey Manu, so just people obviously haven't done their trades yet. He's on the bye. Don't captain him unless you're really confident on your vice captain. Jacob Carraz, so playing in the last game has the upside. Projected to score 100. I hope he does as a Dogs fan, but I think 73 is more likely, which is his average. Dylan Brown, again playing the last game, averaging 66, so slightly down on the other captaincy options we've looked at, but we know that his ability is closer to a 76 type, so that could be a good option. Jerome Hughes, obviously, if you're bringing him in, it's always a good option, captain and halfbacks. So that's fine. Latrell Mitchell, playing a team not renowned for defence, can score that boom score. So more of a VC option in my opinion, but I can understand that selection. Matt Burton, he's averaging more than Dylan Brown, playing in the last game as well, like Dylan Brown, and has been in good form. So I think it's a nice point of difference option. Mitchell Moses, again, if you've got him, you back your halfback in. Makes sense. And I'll talk about 11 just because it's Eli Katoa, which I do like as a pod option. But in terms of VC, same. Armstrong, Fafita, Brown, Drinkwater. Armstrong in the first game. Oh no, not the first game. They're playing Melbourne. That's a big call against Melbourne in Melbourne. But, I mean, it could be one that pays off. That's the vice captain. You can go a bit looser with your choice. Lockie Galvin in the first game against the Dragons, I don't hate as a shout. The Dragons played well last week against Penrith, but, the week before against the Bulldogs, kind of fell in a heap. So, that's, the definitely, the out there VC option in terms of high risk, high reward. After that, we've talked about all those players. Api Coruscant at 11, option if you've got him against the Dragons also. So what that means for my team is, I'll be honest, I'm still not 100% set at the time of recording. But in saying that, whatever moves I do decide on this video, I don't think I'll change. I guess the one thing I do know is I want to get out of Lussick. And again, because I'm not sure on the whole Origin hooker, it was always going to be Coruscant. It was locked in. It was all sweet. But I'm thinking now I've got to go with hands. And 386k, when I saw this, I went, well, ideally, I could get out of Sam Hughes, then go back to averages, bring in Fanor Blake, but as you can see, I've just missed out. So I do want to get Fanua Blake in. The question is who gets traded out for him. So if we have a bit of a look at the rest of the team, I'm just going to complete this trade. So obviously a few things to factor in. You know, who's playing this week is a good start, but we can see that with the dots, so we don't really need to use the buy planner. But we can bring in Fafita. You know, Haas definitely in. You know, we'll plug Harry Grant in on the bench. Lockie Galvin on the bench. So Osaka's on the buy. Swap him with Garrick. Alright, so I guess, you know, it's getting a bit dire if we've got to rely on either a Henry, Hughes, or Gagai from the Rabbitohs. In saying that, he's always a chance of a try out on the wing. But yeah, so, you know, we could go with Crichton. You know, we've talked about he's not going to play a lot in the next few. There's a lot of money sitting on the bench. You know, someone like a Morgan Smithies is underperforming, and you know that extra 80k is more than enough for me to get to Fanua Blake. Nico Hines, obviously, we've talked about, could trade out, cash out, or you know wait for his price to bottom out. You know, Gagai, no, not enough money. Trey Fuller, you know, we could, but we don't have the jewels to get all the way up to front row. So, you know, we are probably looking in this half of the team. And so I guess what it came down to is I've got 18 trades. You know, if we look at round 16, we've currently got 1, 2, 3, if you count Hughes, he might not last that long. 4, oh, sorry, I'm counting Green, he's not in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Smithies. You know, Crichton's not considered. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, you know, we do need to start thinking about round 16, particularly, you know, we're bringing in Hands, you know, probably trade him out at round 16, but, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So, you know, the one that's not playing that we talked about has a bit of money is Nico Hines. So I reckon we can trade him out, and, you know, we'll try to make sure we have enough trades to bring him in. And then, you know, it's always nice when you do a heap of dual position swaps. So Burton to halfback, Platt to 5'8", Curran into the second row, and Adam Fanua Blake in the team. So obviously gives us a nice little war chest too for round 16. So we'll absolutely take advantage of that. And so then, you know, now that we've got that, I need to swap Galvin, put the R on Burton, so that we can probably actually upgrade from Henry to Curran on the bench. So Fanua Blake basically is upgrading. So Henry to Fanua Blake is the upgrade, which is pretty nice. And just put Harry Grant on field. So, you know, pretty much, you know, locked in these three for the rest of the year. Fafita and Crichton locked in. As I said, I want to get Katoa in. Probably be for one of these two. Probably Nikora. You know, Pierce Paul will play round 20 is the only difference. So probably, you know, if I go to my notepad, got an old note there. So round 16 trades. I'm looking at Nikora up to Katoa. Although realistically, with the money, it could actually be next week. Sam Hughes up to Katoa, push Curran back into the front row. Yeah. Also, who else? So yeah, probably Hands to either. Oops. Appy or JMK. So just depending on who's available. And then trying to remember where else were we struggling on field. Yep, so Nicker to Katoa and Smithies will cover in the second row. Yeah, so maybe just whatever money's left, we can upgrade Gagai to whoever. Well, actually, probably Drinkwater, actually, because he's not playing, so Drinky. It could be to Latrell, something like that. Could work. So, we'll be well covered for round 16. Um, yeah, as I said, it could just be next week Hughes to Katoa, just to get him out of the squad. He might play a big minute game and score a try and all that stuff that he can do. So we'll keep the faith that way. But yeah, I think that's pretty all right. So yeah, so I've talked myself into those moves. So just to recap, Lussick, Hines out, hands, Fennell Blake in, big war chest going forward, and we'll see how we go. So we'll wrap the video up there. Um, as always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below the video. Give us a like if you enjoy the SuperCoach content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.